Okay, guys. Well, welcome to the Hypergraph Hour episode. God knows who know how many at this point, but I'm sure somebody's keeping track on how many there's been. Today is an awesome day. So a year ago, last week we kind of kicked off the Lattice Exchange with the Launch Pad, showcasing and highlighting Alkimi to be listed for staking. And today is that day. We have made it to this day. I thought it would never come, to be honest. I'm blown away. It's been a year. I said this last week, but Matthias and I set out on a massive mission a year ago, and it's transformed into something so much bigger than we ever thought. And it's on its way to being one of the biggest things in crypto. And the best way to kind of start really introducing the Lattice Exchange is around the Lattice Launch Pad. So today is going to be really about Alkimi, talking through the Lattice Launch Pad. We're going to talk about we're actually going to humanize this whole relationship that we have, and not just be about the crypto semantics, but really about the kind of relationship that was built, and why why we believe in it so much. But it's a symbiotic relationship. I've recently been putting together a new deck that puts together the vision of Constellation, of Lattice, our entire ecosystem. And it's, I've been reading a ton of our Telegram messages, Twitter messages, kind of taking all these things, and I'm just like blown away by what we're creating as not only a company, but a community. And in so many ways, it's about the people that you do this with, because we choose to embark on a business relationship together. We can literally choose anybody we want to do stuff with, but it comes down to how much time you're going to spend with these people, and can you make something actually wonderful and beautiful. And a huge props to the team that built the Lattice Exchange. It's been really great to see that come together. The Lattice Launch Pad. The Launch Pad is really the stepping stone into cross-chain liquidity, which is going to be released later, and is our kind of ultimately killer feature. And the best way to start is getting projects to list on the Lattice Launch Pad, get the community involved to back them. I did, before we really kick things off and hand over the mic a little bit, I did jump into Telegram this week, because I've spent the last week with multiple teams at the organization, coordinating a lot of announcements coming out really between now and the end of September, which is just like blowing my mind on what's coming down. And it's so exciting, and you want to like pack a punch and you want to tell everybody. But, realistically speaking, I think over the next like 3 to 4 weeks, we have announcements rolling out every week. And these aren't announcements of announcements, but they're like really big deals that we've been working on behind the scenes to really bring the whole vision together. And I think the whole vision, in the next month and a half, you're going to see the entire vision of Constellation coming together, which really just sets us out for a year of 2020 to just bulldoze over every ecosystem. And I have so much confidence we're going to make a huge impact on that. So, next week we'll be launching the Stargazer wallet with multi-chain asset support, the ability to hold ETH and LTX token in your Stargazer wallet, which really kind of sets the tone for cross-chain liquidity. And, I think we'll talk a little bit more about that, but I'm just so excited about all the stuff coming down the road. I'm sure somebody's DMing me right now, like, don't say too much, because I always have a tendency to do that. Anyways, so I'm pretty stoked. Like, there's some cool stuff coming out. The team's excited. Man, you're going to hear from Diggles pretty soon. I know everybody's been excited to hear from Diggles. Diggles is going to come out. I've been, keeping him in SEAL Team 6 in the background, doing what he has to do to make deals happen. So you're going to hear from him soon enough. But So I want to introduce the Alkimi team. Before we get into kind of our founders story initiative, I know the community knows you guys, but maybe give them a highlight of the project. Again, I know you've said this a million times. Introduce everybody, kind of relate what's going on, and I know you guys got a special announcement for the Lattice Launch Pad that nobody knows about. So I'm not going to spoil the fun.
We do.
Yeah, I'll let you guys. Yeah, introduce yourself. Get it going over here.
Firstly, thank you to you, Matthias, Diggles, Wyatt, everyone else at Constellation, and also for the 212 people that have dialed in, less ourselves. I still think it's amazing that people care about what we're doing. Like, frankly, for us, that's been huge. Like, we are all ad guys. It's what we live and breathe every single day. And it's like, there is a huge issue in that market right now. And it's like amazing to us that having surfaced that issue, that people have recognized that is an issue and it's something that needs to be solved, and it can be solved using the hypergraph. And to roll that back a little bit, like what we're trying to do with Alkimi Exchange is launched the world's first ever decentralized advertising exchange, right? And the reason that we're able to do that now, and the reason that we could never do it before, because I mean, I've worked in advertising for 10 years, Chorley, best part of 12 years, Neil, a best part of 1,000 years. I'm kidding, he's like 15 years or so. But
thanks, mate.
No problem. You look younger than all of us, so I think like that's why I'm digging you out. But we've been big blockchain fans, been big crypto fans for a long time. And once we stumbled across Constellation, we were like, oh shit, this is the first blockchain solution that we've seen that can really support the real-time bidding that goes on every single time that you load an ad page. Like every single time you load an ad page, there could be 2, 3, 4, 5, 100 people that are trying to target your cookie with their ad. And it's like the biggest, realist, most complex data marketplace that hides in plain sight, that is there every time you load an ad page. And I think that, honestly, like we're probably getting ahead of ourselves a little bit, but like the second that we saw Lattice Exchange, really, that we were like, oh shit, okay, so if you change Ethereum on one side and Bitcoin on the other side to ad unit and advertise $1, what is the difference? And that really set us on this path. So like, it's amazing for us now, a year later, to come full circle, and the idea that sparked us on this journey to kind of create Alkimi Exchange, and now that we get to launch on Lattice Launchpad, is like, trips me out a little bit. Like I can't believe that we're here today having this conversation. It's amazing to be here, frankly. And like, yeah, I'm rambling now. So if anyone wants to jump in and stop me before I keep talking shit, like please do. But like,
yeah, do a brief introduction to your team, man. It has been like, I don't want to dive into I'll jump into the founder's story, because I do want everybody to know how we met a little bit.
My story is that sadly I'm the middleman that sold to both Neil and Chorley over my career. So I first met Chorley when he was working at Condé Nast, and I first met Neil when he was working at Mindshare, and I was one of the ad tech providers that created this ad tech tax when I first got into my career. And it taught me that the industry is great, that the industry is forward thinking, that advertising is, in my opinion, amazing, right? But I've drunk the Kool-Aid, so like, I've always loved advertising. The technology behind it on every single ad page you load is overwhelming when you consider that you don't even think about it. Like, you will experience the world that we're talking about with a pair of trainers or a pair of jeans that you put into a basket on ASOS that followed you around the internet for 30 days. And that really is the tip of the iceberg. There's real-time auctions that take place. There's algorithms that exist to target cookies better. It's a very, very complex data marketplace that exists in plain sight, which is like the craziest thing for me, and is hugely inefficient. So like, as someone that has only ever worked in advertising, has only ever worked in ad tech, the second I stumbled on a Constellation, I was like, holy shit. And that kind of led me to talk to Chorley about it. I think it's the first way that it went. It was I spoke to Chorley, he put me onto Constellation in the first place back in the day. And then Neil and I had a beer in a park in the midst of lockdown. I think we opened two giant Peronis with a lighter in a park in Islington, and here we are today. So Neil, I'll throw it over to you to introduce yourself, but like that's kind of my story. I've worked for independent technology companies. My previous job before we all threw the towel in for Alkimi was at News UK, which published the Times, the Sun, Fox News. So they're like a big global publisher. So we are well versed in, well, me particularly, well versed in the way that publishers work. My entire career has been focused around publishers, and it's why I wanted to speak to Neil, because he's the antithesis of that. He has worked in agencies his entire career, some of the biggest, best brands in the entire world. So without further ado, Neil, I'll let you introduce yourself.
Cheers, Ben. I'm Neil, and I'm a million years old, apparently.
Thousands of years old.
Thousands of years old. I think it's you're right. It's a really interesting story. There's a saying in our industry that you kind of fall into media planning because everyone wants to be in advertising, right? A lot of people want to be in advertising. They want to be the next Ridley Scott, filming the beautiful advert and having it in television and cinema and Super Bowl and all kinds of shit. But people kind of fall into the media planning side of the business. And it's actually the biggest side of the business and the most profitable side of the business. If you look at like WPP or Dentsu or any of the holding groups, look at their results. It's the media business that essentially props up these advertising conglomerates. So I knew that I wanted to go into advertising. I thought I was going to be Ridley Scott, and I ended up on this other side where you kind of go unseen. But essentially what these media agencies do is they take the creative asset and the creative concept that is built by this visionary creative agency, and they work out the best channels, the best ways to put that ad in front of an audience. That could be on television, it could be in print, it could be in a cinema, out of home, and online is the way that most things go now. And I started off doing all of that in agencies, so planning, print, television, out of home, everything for international clients. And then I kind of fell into this innovation role. So we're always looking at the next thing. Like in the industry, you're always looking at the next channel, the next thing that can get people's attention. And because I was looking at innovation, I fell into mobile. And I had the amazing opportunity to go and run the mobile team for Mindshare, which is the world's second largest agency. And because mobile was the new thing and at the forefront of innovation, things like augmented reality or m-commerce or any of these things, there was a natural progression to go into digital innovation. And when I was in that role, one of the digital innovations that we were always looking at was blockchain. And we were like, this solution is built for this industry. There are so many structural problems with this industry that could be solved with blockchain technology, but it just won't work. And I've sat on the board of the Internet Advertising Bureau for 5 or 6 years. They came out with this blockchain primer report in 2018 that said, look, it can solve all of these things, from instant reconciliation to measurement to transparency across the board. But there's a big elephant in the room. It's too expensive, and it doesn't work quick enough, and it doesn't scale to the way that the industry needs. And to put that into context, the way the advertising industry is sold is it's sold in buckets of what we call 1,000 impressions. And that is essentially the opportunity to see someone on a digital screen. So to put your ad on a website. So if you were to look at the transaction times for Ethereum or for Bitcoin, etc., it wouldn't work in terms of the finality window that's required for digital advertising, because you load a screen and that ad needs to be served right there. But more importantly, if you think of gas fees, and you're having 1,000 of those transactions and you're layering a gas fee on that transaction, your business is going to go bankrupt we've tried to work this out internally at Alkimi, at like how quickly it would go bankrupt. We think minutes versus hours.
An afternoon, I reckon.
Yeah. So it was kind of something that we parked, but it was something I've always been really interested in pursuing if it could work for the industry. So in terms of origin stories, to take it on a little bit, like Ben and I were sitting on a park bench during lockdown. We happened to live really close together. We were both. Are we allowed to say we were miserable in our jobs?
We were, yeah.
We were.
I think we all were miserable in our jobs. That's why we're all in this world.
Dude, but off work for 4 weeks. So
yeah. But I guess the difference was in London that it was like 26 degrees and raining and bleak, and we weren't allowed to go to the pub. We were locked down to our houses. So Ben and I lived really closely together. So we went and literally sat in a park like a pair of hobos with a beer, and he told me about Constellation. And people say I look like Jonah Hill in The Wolf of Wall Street, and it was literally one of those Wolf of Wall Street moments where I was like, fuck it, I'm done. Like Ben told me
we did go to a phone box, and Neil did.
And I literally that was that in that split second, the idea for Alkimi was born, and I became a Chad. So I just went home and I just started loading up on DAG, and here we are.
We should mention that you loading up on DAG has no correlation with you sitting here now. So to make that very clear.
Right? Yeah. Exactly.
It was a happy coincidence.
Yeah, and it was it was a beautiful coincidence.
And Charlie.
That
was beautiful.
The original Constellation and crypto OG of the Alkimi crew.
Yeah, so my journey in media started like over 10 years ago now, and I started off actually trafficking ads, which is as boring as it sounds. So I was essentially like the human in the machine, where somebody would give me a piece of paper that had been signed by somebody, and then I would have to take that information and put it into an ad server to make sure that an ad was shown at the right time in the right place. And I was working at Evolve Media at the time, who are actually quite big in the States. And it was, a pretty dull job. But I then moved into sales, but that did kind of teach me a lot about how an ad server works, like how you get ads on a page. And eventually found myself, after a few moves in between, at Condé Nast. And there I really learned kind of how a legacy publisher kind of deals with this tech infrastructure that has been thrust upon them since the sort of dawn of the digital age, really. And given that it was at that point, 15 years or something since this digital revolution had happened, they still hadn't really got to grips with it. They still wanted to book things in the way that they'd always done it, because that was really profitable for them. And because of the titles they've got, obviously being one of the oldest legacy magazine publishers in the world, like they could do that. And that was because of the brands that they had. But I came in as a programmatic specialist. And that was kind of a new piece of technology even for at the time, and kind of dealing with the internal politics that go with that as well. So, you've got publishers whose job it is to make money, and they see me selling something automated, and the fact that that is cheaper as like undercutting their sales team. But really what we were doing was filling stuff that hadn't been sold. So you constantly had this kind of internal battle going on where I'd have to sell it into those guys. And then, eventually once they saw the bottom line, it kind of made sense to them. But, that isn't unique to Condé Nast necessarily. Like, all publishers have had the same issue. And I think that's the thing that Google has done really well and Facebook have done really well, is they've like created a really good product that makes it like easy for publishers to lean on them. And once they started leaning on them, that was it. That was where the money went. It was really interesting just to sort of see that internally and just understand that that is something that needs to change. They need to have those products, but they need to have ownership over them in a way that they don't really at the moment. But yeah, in terms of like my crypto journey, that kind of started in 2016. Saw one bull market and a bear market for my sins. Didn't sell, never selling. But yeah, it kept me like researching through the bear market. I think most people who lived through that kind of actually came out with better portfolios than they went in, certainly. And yeah, and kind of stumbled across Constellation because obviously, you know, greatest community in crypto. I was just on Twitter one day and I think I found out I think it was the DoD deal that had just been sort of leaked, and that was what kind of turned me onto it, because having worked in you know on the internet essentially, which was created by the US government, along with the dark web, all those kind of other innovations that have happened. It was clear to me that if they know something about Constellation, then I don't really have to know anything else other than that it's probably a good thing. So yeah, that was the start of the journey. I think actually only after about a month, I spoke to Ben about it and sort of just told him that I'd found this really cool project, and yeah, it's nice to have somebody to bounce sort of ideas off. And then as we sort of learned more, as those breadcrumbs were sort of revealed to us, we started thinking how we could apply it to our industry and what we know about our industry, and the automated sales that goes on. And it just seemed like an absolute no-brainer. I mean, the idea that you can have a state channel, which essentially does everything that a server does, makes it a really light lift. And the speed and scalability was just like something that we knew was going to be essential to do what we're trying to do. I don't think there's any other way that it would be possible, even on a sort of sharded network, like, some of the others that are out there. Those aren't going to be able to scale in the same way as a normal, server does today that we would use like in the advertising industry. So it meant that like it was the only one for us. And yeah, then Ben reached out to Diggles, and that was it. And here we are now.
And that I love the story, guys. As I was hearing you guys talk, I was like, man, I remember when we brought you guys on to introduce you as like this incubated project that's building on us. And you guys were nervous and we had to navigate this. Now you guys just like talk, which is amazing. And I love to see it. Now, behind the scenes, I'm going to probably leak a few things, but you guys are already building out one of the first state channels that will go live on the Hypergraph. That's already in production right now. It's awesome to see that come alive. You're already thinking kind of the future of merged mining and seeking out liquidity for cross-chain swapping. Like, you guys this isn't just about ads. And I'll get into this a bit, but you guys are really truly embracing our vision of merging traditional business with a cryptocurrency component. And and it's hard. It's very hard. And you guys are doing it like flawlessly. I got to give you guys props to that. And I got to start the story, pick up the story where Charlie left off. So Benjamin Diggles hits me up and it's like, dude, these guys won't shut up. They want to talk to you. Like, I've talked to them on the phone. They're in the advertising industry. And I said, oh, hell no, I'm not touching that. And they're like, and Benjamin's like, he's like, please. He's like, they're bothering me. I was like, I don't know, take another phone call with them, see if there's something there. And he comes back to me again. He goes, dude, just please take the call. They will then let it go and they'll be satisfied that you just talk with them. And as many of you know, I had a former life in the advertising world that I don't ever talk about because of how awful that industry can be. And the industry is it's so fragmented. It's so tough to navigate. Traditional Silicon Valley investors don't really like the space because it's very hard to make traction unless you've done it time and time again. And I've seen all that. And so I get on the phone with these guys and I was blown away how they could regurgitate our technology and apply it to the industry. And I just I sat back and I was pretty blown away. I let these guys talk. They were passionate. They clearly had a ton of industry experience, and I could sense that. And they knew how to like plug the gaps and holes that existed. I'm not sure what you guys, as I went through that phone call, that was kind of the beginning of one of the things that I had been thinking about, is walking quality projects through the process of creating a white paper, navigating crypto communities, minting a token, creating liquidity, and merging that into our entire ecosystem. And I dropped it on these guys right there. I was like, all right, I'll take you under the wing. Matthias and I are going to walk you through everything. It was a pretty quick decision. I don't know. I don't know what you guys took away from that phone call, but I'd love to hear it.
It's funny because the first phone call we were supposed to have, I had been in the dentist for 3 hours, and I'd actually got my calendar confused. So I was a week ahead of myself. So it was the following week, but I remember I went back and I was doing star jumps, and I had a warm pack on my jaw so I could give a good pitch and impress you guys as best we could. So when I realized finally that we had the wrong week, I was very happy because I wasn't going to slur my words, and the fact that half my mouth was numb. And we went on to I remember the pitch, and Matthias, I think, Ben, you were a bit warmer than Matthias for sure. And I remember very clearly on that call saying to you guys that, like, look, what we want to do is jump over every bar that you throw at us. Just like set the bar, we'll figure out how to jump over it. And what's been amazing is that you guys have helped us figure out how to jump over those bars. That's one thing that I wasn't expecting, is just like, okay, you guys will incubate you, but do this and then figure it out. But it wasn't just you figure it out. It's like, we'll come back to you and help you figure out what the best decision for you guys to make is, because I think that was invaluable. Like it was, I think I'll speak for Chorley and Neil, but like, it feels like we've done a university degree in cryptocurrency in the last 8-9 months. And like, even some of the kind of early people that we were speaking to in the crypto space could tell that we were quite green. And we went back to them 6 weeks, 2 months later, and they were like, kind of, you guys have changed, you're speaking differently. And I can only put that down to all the help that we got from you guys, frankly, to really guide us into where to kind of aim our vision. And then once we had the vision right, do this task and get that task done, just keep trudging on to where the vision is. You know where it is, you set it out, you've got that in your white paper, you've set your northern star, as it were. The task you do day to day will help you with, but that's what gets you to that endpoint, right? And it's like it's been great. I can wholeheartedly say to anyone that's perhaps on this call that thinks they have an idea, is just like, throw yourself into it. Like, go onto Twitter, read about it, learn about it. The Constellation community in particular, and I can kind of speak to this, having now like launched a project off the back of it, has been unbelievable. Like, we have amazing admins that support our main channel. We have admins that support our Spanish speaking channel. We have admins that support our Mandarin channel as well. Like, it's been incredible, the warmth and the acceptance, and like the willingness to plow on when you have a great idea built on the hypergraph. Frankly, the hypergraph is the key to it all, right? Like, that leads you to where you need to be. And if you can like nail a tokenomics model that lands you correctly on the hypergraph, then you're in a great spot. And it's then about just being honest, being efficient, being earnest, and being diligent, and just working hard. Like, I think, like, I'll speak for the three of us, that we have like cried for this, we've bled for this, we've shouted at each other, we punched each other, that we've celebrated. I mean, we've lived it all, right? And that to me has been, I'm without wanting to gush too much, like, it's the most fulfilling, and I feel like I have the most purpose I've ever had in my entire life, like driving an industry that's lazy and inefficient towards an active, efficient way of trading, which, forget the model where one guy in the middle takes the cash out and makes the money. Now everyone that is involved in the marketplace does it does it efficiently, does it effectively, and you have this beautiful generative economic model that supports everyone that gets involved, where we don't have that right now. And it's been amazing to like lean into that, usher that in, and kind of get to where we are today, where we're launching on Lattice Launchpad, which is kind of crazy. I've got it's wild.
I think it's been very surreal for all of us.
I want to say something. It's like that Ben's more warm than I am.
Got me up. Honestly.
No, that was on the initial. That was on the initial. That was on the initial pitch.
Yeah. That is on purpose.
Matthias and I play good cop, bad cop.
I need to make sure, and I wanted to make sure, because I'm not lying when I tweeted about you guys the first time. Is like I mean I'm not as experienced in the ad industry like Ben is, but I didn't hold that industry in very high regards, because I've seen some of the early attempts of blockchainizing ad exchanges, and they all failed, and they all did $1 million raises, and it was just plainly annoying. And then hearing an ads pitch for me was like, I want to really make sure that these guys not only have the right vision building on our infrastructure, which they understood better than anybody else I've talked to out there. Like, props to you, Ben. You were the first person outside of our founding team who truly understood what the implications of L0 and HTTP meant. I have heard that from nobody else in our entire community to that succinctness than from you. And that's when I realized, holy shit, these guys are on fire. We can take this to the next level with you guys. And I wanted to make sure that you have that breadth of vision, and you're coachable and flexible enough in your mental state that you can tap and grow into that big vision that you've basically cast out there. Because a lot of people, I've seen that time and again, they cast big visions, and they talk the big talk, but really to execute in a blockchain world, and I call that the token life cycle, they don't understand how to merge that token life cycle to a real world business, and they all fail sooner or later. Are they millionaires? Probably, but that's not how entrepreneurship's supposed to be. So that's where I was coming from, and you guys have blown it out of the water in every aspect. So
yeah, I was going to say, it started when you guys we reached out to you, said, all right, here's what's going to happen. Matthias texted me and he's like, Ben, what do you think about this? And I jumped on the call and I said, well, I mean, if they're right, let's break them. Let's break them and see what they got. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, dude, I hate this industry, and I feel like this is my shot to just stick it back to them. And I was like, all right, we'll break them in the first 3 weeks if they do it. And I was like, let's see what they have. And in that first 3 weeks, you guys came back to me and you're like, we all quit our jobs. And I called Matthias and I went, fuck. It's like, that's something to put on your shoulders. And I mean, that's where I was like, God, these guys are dedicated. Now, I mean, like, I pretty much owe them my firstborn at this point. And you guys went from having jobs. Of course, it took a little bit of like courting between each sides, having jobs, to building a 7,000 person community in Telegram, raising almost $2.5 million. You've won the hearts of our community, which it wasn't a handout. You all worked for it. Yeah, and we made sure of that. But it's very heartwarming to us as a company to see like that transformation that happened due to dedication that you guys all had. And I know it wasn't easy, and I know there were a lot of points where you probably wanted to punch me in the face. Most people want to punch me in the face. And it's kind of funny that Matthias goes from being like the cold shoulder guy, and then he was ultimately the guy that was like, on every phone call with you.
Yeah, I prefer him to you, Ben.
Stuff.
I prefer him to you.
I think most people do, and I'm going to keep it that way. I'm okay with it. We have an incredible journey.
We do have the same between us. Where like we're going to get Jorgensen tonight. Like when we have our call.
Right.
Yeah, it was a baptism of fire, I have to admit, but it prepared us for what's come afterwards. It was like, working 2 jobs and then, doing it in our spare time to actually doing it like full time. It's pretty much the same amount of hours. I thought once we quit our jobs, I was going to have a bit of extra time, but it's not really worked out that way.
It's amazing because like I can't tell you how many, I mean, including my own entrepreneurial journeys of like what it takes to raise that type of money, to receive feedback and grow that early momentum, which, you know, what's fascinating about the role that crypto plays in all this is that these communities provide confidence. Everybody gives you confidence to keep persevering. Whether they know that intuitively or not, it's something more than I've ever seen living in San Francisco. I've never received that type of community. And you would think that it's that way, but there's actually a level of negativity and pessimism that you see. And then you have crypto that's like, dude, let's champion these people and build some cool shit together, which is so encouraging to the dark times during entrepreneurship.
You know what?
Totally.
I totally agree. Like, I think that for me anyway, it just like the fact that we knew from day zero that there would be people outside of our four walls that Neil, Chorley, Chandra and I worked in that would care about this meant that we approached it differently. Like we took it way more seriously than we perhaps would have done. We were earnest. We wanted to kind of create a solution that we knew had product market fit and knew that from day zero, people would give a shit, frankly. Like, if you're going to put it out there and tell people this is the way to do it, then you better have your shit backed up. And I feel like between our team that we certainly tick those boxes, and just to kind of see that reciprocate. I mean, I think that I'll speak for all of us and say there was a chap on Twitter, and I forget who, which is a real disservice to him, but he put together a 20 tweet thread that couldn't have explained what we're trying to do with Alkimi Exchange any better. And that for me really like drove home the fact that the Alkimi Exchange has its own mind now. It's like it's an idea that's resonated with people. Like, we have a good solution. And I think all we want to do from here on out is just execute on that, make it happen, and just deliver everything we said we would. Like we're going to make
as well.
Basically, is what
it was the first after the first Hypergraph Hour where we released the white paper. I think that was probably the most terrifying moment of my life. But just to actually have people like read it and engage with it and say that it was a good thing, you get that feedback loop of like people agreeing with you and saying like, yeah, this makes total sense to me. Why isn't it done this way anyway? And that's the kind of thing that like, it kind of gave us the confidence, because we had just been sat in, it was during lockdown as well. So we've been like, sat in our own houses, essentially just like typing away to each other. It's a bit like, I kind of thought that we were in Black Mirrors and it was Bandersnatch or something, it was all happening on a screen, and was it really real? But once, it kind of went out into the wild, and people latched onto it and started talking about it and talking positively about it. It just, it's like nothing else really. And then it kind of really gives you the confidence to like go forward and actually, keep going and like build on what you've started. Because otherwise, I don't know that we necessarily would have had the balls to do it really.
And I think I think the amount of constructive feedback we've had as well, like people chiming in and saying maybe you could think of things this way and this way, has been unbelievably useful. Like it's really allowed us to iterate what we're doing, and you guys will see that there have been like pivots in what we've done to make it better and more useful for the community and for advertising. And like I said, the Constellation community is just the best in crypto. It really is.
Well, guys, is it that time of the hour that we're going live on the Lattice Exchange? Matthias?
No, I think Ben has.
Where's the
has something to say, right? I mean that wasn't a smooth segment.
I know, man. You guys just love to talk. I love it. I'm like, guys, we're literally going live right now, and nobody's watching.
Well, so we have some quite exciting news. Other than that round of that. So my mum's in the audience today, so you can't see her, but my mum has wanted to watch our Hypergraph Hour where we kind of officially go live. So that was a round of applause from...
that was her clap? Aww.
Yeah. So like to double down on that great news that my mum's finally proud of me is that we've increased the allocation for Lattice holders to $100,000. Like, we were blown away when we initially announced this last week. So we've upped the allocation there's 100,000 USDC up for grabs. And yeah, my mum's happy about it. We're going to buy some tequila shots because she's over the moon. But yeah, it's like, it's awesome to kind of announce that everyone can get involved now. You know, it truly is open. Like, I think I kind of said it a few times, but aside from the fact that you guys incubated us, I think the fact that Lattice Exchange is built on the tenets of transparency, fairness, efficiency, just really ring true with everything we're trying to do in the ad world. So it was like a no-brainer for us, really. Like, we actually were blown away that you guys even would have us on the launch pad, frankly. So like, it's amazing that it's finally come full circle for us, that Lattice was the kind of spark that set us on the Alkimi path to then come full circle and actually launch on Lattice Launch Pad. Is like, yeah, I'll try not to well up because it's fucking crazy for me to have like get to this point today where my mum's clapped for us on something that she didn't understand 9 months ago. It's kind of wild, but yeah, it's.
Don't worry. The community will make a meme out of your mom.
I hope not. She's great. She's made it. If you heard that, but she made
it. I love it. And you guys are offering a rebate. Remind everybody
exactly
with the
that.
gas fees.
We're offering $15 per transaction just to
cover those gas fees. Because obviously they're quite high at the moment. So yeah, we thought we'd give a little back, and that'll come in the form of extra ads tokens as well.
Exactly. In the spirit of a feeless network, we thought, why not set it off right, you know?
So basically what you guys are doing is for people who stake, because you're still an ERC20 token, you refund people with up to $15 worth of those transaction fees to make it more equitable for small holders and everybody to participate and not price them out because of gas fees. So that's what you guys have decided, and I can only commend you for that, because that's in the spirit of decentralization and creating a fair playing field for everybody.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a no-brainer for us. Like. Yeah. We want you guys to get involved with the project, so let's make it easier, you know?
Awesome. Sweet.
So are we live now? You
have another smooth segue?
Well, I think my mum needs a drink because she's beside herself.
We have 4 minutes, might as well be on the call when we make this happen. No, I also got to give huge props to our marketing team and kind of providing resources behind all this. They've really kind of rolled this launch out very seamlessly.
She's blurred out. It's like a.
Can't believe this, mother.
Hi, Mrs. Butley. Great to meet you.
Butley. Hey.
There she is. Yeah, she's over the moon. Sorry.
Is that American talking there? How do you tell?
I can't believe that.
That's so embarrassing. I love it.
Yeah. I'm going to turn my camera off now before my other relatives join.
That's funny.
Well, I wish I had a cocktail in. I think last week I grabbed a sparkling drink, so I'm going to grab a sparkling drink to give a toast to this. There are educational materials out there on how to stake and get involved with Lattice. Which, I love that we're always pushing the needle on better educational materials. If you have questions, just go to the socials. If you have comments, go to the socials. If you need to get more info on Alkimi, it's there. Feel free to ask us anything, I think we should all stick around for a little bit in the channels to make sure we answer some questions. Got a little live AMA for a few minutes.
Yeah, let's do it.
Cheers, guys. Great job.
Cheers. Cheers. I've got my mojito.
Cheers, everyone.
Thanks. Cheers.
Awesome.
Oh, Neil, you're empty-handed.
We got 2 minutes.
I am.
It's like 2 minutes and 30 seconds.
I am so empty-handed, and I'm really, really upset. I'm gonna DM my wife and get her to bring something upset.
To finish off the founder's story, I met your lawyer a couple of weeks ago who lives 2 doors down from me in California. And
that's why we don't buy Lottie's anymore.
Dude, that's so wild. So I ended up having a glass of wine with him, and we did talk about you guys. He's like, man, I thought this was pretty crazy. I didn't know what they're doing. And they happen to be one of the best law firms in the world, one of the largest law firms in the world. And I gave them the utmost confidence that you guys are doing all the right things. And I was like, they'll be successful. It's just a matter of time. And they got the right mentality. They got, you got all the pieces together, guys. It's been an honor to find you guys in this weird little world.
Well,
thank you, Ben, because Dan, the lawyer, is one of the scariest people I've ever met in my life. He was the person.
Not from what I saw.
Yeah, more than my father-in-law. Yeah, great choice in property. But yeah, more than my father-in-law, the guy that I really need to stay on the right side of. So. Good job.
Awesome. Hey guys, maybe Neil, talking about your wife, maybe you guys can share a little bit how you teamed up together as a team to make this happen and go through that intensive period with us, and what did you do on the background to make sure that you stay cohesive and kind of like.
I was actually gonna mention this earlier because you guys said to us, you were like, when you do this, there are going to be rough patches. It's going to be hard. You have to expect that. And I kind of, like, all due respect to you guys, I kind of laughed it off. I was like, yeah, no, we've known each other for years. We work together. We know what you're going to do. But it's tough, right? Like when you're like,
we've all cried. We've all hugged.
Yeah, we have. We've all cried. We've all hugged. It takes up a huge amount, and you've just got to be so passionate about what you're doing. And
I think that's kind of easy, isn't it? It's like when you love what you're doing, it's easy to do it. And I think we've don't really care about doing the extra hours because it's all enjoyable, really. And I think between us, we've all had our low points, but it's actually quite good having more people in the team because you can pick each other up. I think if you were doing it by yourself, you'd probably go mad. Yeah, you don't have anybody to sort of soundboard off and all the rest of it. So
I basically cured Chorley's COVID. So that's what happens. Start a company, cure COVID, and then you're off to the races.
Also, Matteo, I'll take you up on things. Say thank you very much to my wife, who has been incredibly understanding during this process.
That's what I was hinting at, because you guys told us that you basically formed a kind of like a circle, where you all sat down with your partners and you were like, hey, this is what it's going to be. This is what it requires. And we want to make sure that we protect each other and that there's an understanding that this is the journey of the next couple of months and this will open into other trajectory, and that your relationships don't fall apart over something like, what the fuck just happened?
So to really hammer that point home, it's my girlfriend's birthday today. So I've snuck out for the last 90 minutes. So I'm in trouble, but it's totally been worth it, 100%.
Yeah, they've got a WhatsApp group together as well, which is a bit unnerving because obviously they can now like have conversations by themselves that we don't know about, which basically talk shit about us. Yeah.
It's only going to get worse.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't want to hear about it either. Just like, anyway, that's why we created it,
Why don't we call this a day, as it looks like the Launchpad is getting geared up, and head into the Alkimi Exchange Telegram?
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah,
all right. Good. Guys, this has been a ton of fun. I know you guys got some other stuff coming up in the next couple of weeks too. So this is just
more news coming.
More news coming.
Yeah.
Lots of news.
I'm excited, man. I'm right there with you. So this is good.
Hell yeah.
It's going to be
All
a
right,
very
guys.
exciting month for everyone in the Constellation community generally, isn't it?
And if I could sum
Dude,
it
it
up,
is, trust me.
I would say that the bad ads broke the internet, so we can finally fix the internet with ads.
Love that.
There we go.
Jeez.
There we go.
Jeez.
All right, guys.
Cheers, guys.
So
And
cheers.
I've been David Brent, and I'm out.
God.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.